Hi, grade 8s. Today what we're going to do is we're going to keep doing some percent problems. The only thing different is I'm going to show you a different way to solve these questions. So last class, we took our percentage and we made a proportion with it. And I like that method, but I have to admit, it's a method that I find as you work out, takes a little bit more time, a little more thought to kind of finish it up. I like these ones. These ones to me, maybe doing it using decimals is maybe a little bit more straightforward. So we'll see which one you like. Both ways can get you to the right answer, and I have to admit, I don't really care if you choose proportions or use decimals. Both methods are perfectly acceptable for this course. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do 124% of 18, and we're trying to figure out how much that is. Now, just a reminder, 100% would be 18. So 124% should be somewhat more than 18. So I'm expecting to get a number that's even bigger than 18 out. And that's good to keep in your mind because I think it will help you determine whether your number is reasonable or not. So here's the process. The first thing that we want to do is we want to change this 124% into a decimal. Now I'm going to just go over to the side here and just think about this for a second. So 124%, remember percent means out of 100. So remember our place values. We've got a number here and then a dot, and then we've got our tenths, and then we've got our hundredths. So the 4 here ends in the hundreds. So this would be 4, and then just start filling in numbers forward. 2 and 1. So as a decimal, 124% would be 1.24. Now in this case, the of, we can think of it as just a multiplication of 18. So once we have changed our percent into a decimal, and we change the of into a multiplication, this is just a matter of taking out your calculator and working this out. The answer to this ends up being 22.32. So what is 124% of 18? Well, you can see it is slightly bigger than 18, and the answer here is 22.32. So I just wanted to show you that way so that you can kind of see how it works. And I think you notice it's a pretty quick, fairly efficient way to do it. Now I want to show you the other type of question. One where we don't know this spot right here. So we're doing 160% of some number equals 30. Now just a reminder, what number might this be in this box? Well, we can kind of do a quick estimate of this. Okay, if a number was 100%, it would be that number. So 100% of 30 would be 30. Okay, but 160% of 30 would be bigger than 30. So our number here clearly has to be smaller than 30. Okay. And I'm not sure how much smaller, maybe 20 or maybe 15, but it's going to be smaller than 30. I know that. So that gives me something in my brain just to kind of watch out for. So in this case, process is exactly the same. The only difference is I don't know what this box is here. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to take 160%. We're going to just do that over here. 160%, that's just 160 out of 100. And you can see here, we've got our ones, our decimals, tenths, hundreds. So I just start here with the 0, goes in the hundreds, so 0, 6, 1. So you got 1.60. Remember the of I can change to multiplication. Okay, and you've got a choice here. You can leave this as a box, or you could put a variable like an a in for it or whatever. I'm just going to leave it as a box. That's fine with me today. Okay, now here's an important rule in algebra. We do inverse operations. So the inverse here, so we have a 1.6, so 1 and 60th hundredths multiplied to some number, and we're trying to undo it. We're trying to get that box by itself. So how do we do that? We do the opposite operations. So the opposite, I'm going to just use blue here, of multiplying is dividing by 1.60. And the neat thing is 1.6 divided by 1.6 gives you 1, and 1 times a box is just 1 box. So I'm left with 1 box. But the rule in algebra is if you do something to one side of the equal sign, you have to do it to the other. So I have to take my 30 and I have to divide it also by 1.6 or 1.60. Now here's the neat thing here. If you look underneath, we're left with just that box on the left side. So we're finding out what that box equals. And on the right side, we've got 30 divided by 1.6. When I punch that into my calculator, because I'm not sure how to do it by hand real well, so I'm going to find out using my calculator, you get 18 and 75 hundredths. That is the answer, and it kind of makes sense. I was expecting a number less than 30, and you can see I got 18.75. If you ever wanted to check your answer, you could simply go 1.60, and then in that box, we now know what the box is equal to, 18.75, and it should equal 30 if I did this correctly. So you can always check your answer to know if you did it correctly. Well, I hope this gets you going. Have a good one, grade 8s.